The way we travel has totally changed. We can stay in people's homes all over the world, which is amazing. But it also means we're putting ourselves in a vulnerable position. So today, we're going to look at the darker side of that, digging into a couple of true, absolutely chilling stories that show what can happen when things go very, very wrong.
Just think about it for a second. Have you ever unlocked the door to a rental, stepped inside, and just for a moment, you get this weird little feeling? That sudden reminder that you are, in fact, standing in a complete stranger's house. You're surrounded by their stuff, their memories. Most of us just brush it off. But maybe we shouldn't.
And that feeling, well, that's really the heart of it, isn't it? We put so much trust into these apps, into a smiling profile picture and a handful of good reviews. But what happens when that trust is completely shattered? You end up exactly where this section title says you are, in a stranger's house.
What's so creepy about this is that it taps into a really primal fear we all have. The idea that a home, a place that's supposed to be safe and secure, could be hiding something awful. It's the plot of a million horror movies, right? But these stories prove that sometimes that fear becomes all too real.
Okay, so let's see how this plays out. Our first story, The Guest by the Pool, is a perfect, terrifying example of how that vague little feeling of unease can suddenly become a real-life nightmare.
So, picture this. The setting is Palm Springs. A couple is there for a relaxing desert vacation. They've rented this nice house, they're probably dreaming about kicking back by the pool, and they have absolutely no idea that their entire sense of safety is about to be just completely blown apart.
So here's how it all went down. At first, everything's great. They get there, they unpack. But then, deep in the middle of the night, the motion sensors outside start going off again and again. They're freaked out, thinking maybe it's an animal or something. But when they finally build up the courage to go check, they find someone. A person hiding in the little shed right by the pool. And this is the detail that takes us from a scary incident to pure horror. Because when they found the intruder, he wasn't sorry, he wasn't even scared of being caught. According to the story, he was just standing there with a creepy laugh. Can you even imagine the terror of that moment?
Okay, so that story was about a random, anonymous threat, which is terrifying enough. But what if the threat isn't random at all? Our next story, The Stalker on the Island, takes that fear and makes it deeply, deeply personal.
And this slide just says it all, doesn't it? The guest booked what she thought was the perfect getaway, a secluded little cottage, a private retreat. But that very seclusion, the thing she paid for, became the trap. She was totally isolated, with nowhere to run and no one to help.
I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. You're on an island, you feel completely cut off and safe, and then, in the pitch black of night, someone gets in a boat and comes across the water with one destination in mind: you. The feeling of being targeted, of being so completely helpless, is just overwhelming.
But here it is. This is the question that makes this story absolutely bone-chilling. The stalker didn't just show up to a random house. He knew who was staying there. He called out her name. This wasn't random. It was targeted. And the mystery of how he knew who she was, that's a terrifying question that just hangs over everything.
So when you hear these stories back to back, you have to ask, why do they get under our skin so much? Why are they so much more frightening than a made-up monster story? It's because the fear they're built on, this very specific, very modern kind of fear, it's real.
It really all comes down to a few things that mess with our minds. First, the invasion of our personal space. That's a big one. But it's also about feeling so vulnerable when you're far from home, outside of your element. You see, we're sold this idea of living like a local, but that also means we're outside the safety net of a hotel, and it just cranks up our fear of the unknown, of who or what is really on the other side of that door. Look, the convenience of renting a home is fantastic, we all get it, but the entire system is built on a really thin layer of trust between complete strangers. So the next time you're scrolling looking for that perfect vacation spot, just pause for a second and honestly ask yourself the question you see on the screen. How well do you really know your host?